a year ago, Loren and I came and we sat with Aviva and Zalman on the corner of their dining room table. And the idea was we were going to create a time capsule of both of their lives together. And as most things happen when you're around Zalman, the conversation veers off into stories and jokes, and 2.5 hours went by and we unfortunately never got to create that time capsule. But time's precious, and unfortunately his health deteriorated and we didn't actually get a chance to do it. Last Thursday night, we sat here with Rabbi Maleki at that table, and by we, myself, my parents, Loren, and my older sister Danny, unfortunately couldn't make it, but my cousins were there, and we spent about 3 hours with Rabbi Maleki talking about Zalman and Aviva, who are completely inseparable, their stories. And I contributed something in that Zalman was really the embodiment of a resilient optimist, because much like the way that he fought against cancer, which ironically was the longest fight in his life, that sense of resilient optimism is really at the core of what the Mavshavsky family actually is. And true to a fighter is only as good as the people that they have in their corner. And whenever 99% of us in this room would ask how Zalman's feeling, invariably very few people would actually know how he was, because they were actually in the trenches with them. And I think it's really important on a night like tonight to acknowledge Joel and Ziva and Rafi and Mandy and people like my father and my mother and obviously Aviva, people who were actually there in the trenches, and they've got war stories, like when Zalman made his jailbreak from the war bank. That Sunday afternoon I came past and I saw Hannah, Ziva and Joel in the driveway. We can laugh now. Or the fact that my dad took him shopping to Aldi with a carer in a little ramp with 150 parcels.
A week ago.
Yeah, a week ago. Exactly. But the importance of recognizing the corner team, if you will, is really important, because when someone has cancer, the narrative becomes exclusively about that person, and rightfully so. Obviously, we're all here tonight to honor Zalman and the type of person that he was. But the irony as well is, as we grow older, most of us actually think we need fewer friends, and we're very content with that. And the complete opposite is true of Aviva and Zalman, because testaments to all of you around the room, you're obviously here tonight, and you've brought with you the honor and the respect for Zalman and for Aviva, and clearly for the extended Mavshavsky family. But I think probably more important is what you leave here with tonight. And that sense of resilient optimism is when you lie in bed tonight and you take a deep breath, if you think about what you're going to do differently tomorrow, how you're going to be slightly more positive and say yes rather than saying no, I think that's probably the biggest tribute you can give, not only Zalman and Aviva, but obviously tonight is about the roots of the family, and there's so many faces around here who may not have known Aviva and Zalman directly, but you're all close friends of those children within that family. So in today's times where there's so much uncertainty, whether it's business or family or relationships, obviously health. There's one thing that I can say with absolute surety, is that Zalman right now is busy smiling at us, just waiting impatiently to interrupt me to tell another joke. So thank you on behalf of me and my family.
Okay, I'm just going to say I'm a crier. Just bear with me.
It's a Mavshavsky pleasure.
Thank you.
Ruben.
Oh no. Okay, so Barry and I wanted to speak briefly tonight on behalf of Danny as well, from the perspective of Zalman's extended family, on behalf of his nieces and nephews. So I'm Loren, I'm Hanania and Shelley's daughter, and obviously Zalman's niece. And as many of you know, Zalman was the eldest of 4 brothers. Natan, Ruvain and Hanania, who together with their wives, Aviva, Terry, Rose and Shelley, made up the core of the Mavshavsky family. We're a very large family, we're a very loud family, and most importantly, we're a very close family. And I think that this last point is really the most remarkable thing about us, considering the fact that we live geographically quite far away from each other, together with husbands and wives and a few girlfriends along the way.
Tim as well, he's married late.
I'm married now. We consist of 22 first-generation Mavshavsky cousins, with Ziva being the eldest and me being the youngest. And while we grew up together in South Africa, we all emigrated during our teenage years, and we haven't actually all lived in the same country for at least 20 years. Despite this, we remain incredibly close, and we're all involved in each other's day-to-day lives. And although Skype and email and Facebook play a large role in facilitating that relationship, I think that the heart of it comes back to our parents. Thank you. Thanks, Dee. Had the 8 of you not been so intertwined in each other's lives and passed on to us the value of loving your family and making an effort to cultivate a relationship with your family, we would not have maintained the close relationships that we have with our aunts and uncles and cousins over such distances. One thing that our family prides ourselves on is the fact that we always make an effort to be there for each other, even though this often means flying halfway around the world. Aviva, Ziva, Joel, Tov and Lara, Rafi and Mandy, and of course all of your children, the second generation of the Mavshovsky cousins. We want you to know that we are all with you now, just as we have been for the weddings and the bar mitzvahs and the births, and perhaps even more so now than ever before. And we will still be with you in the weeks and the months and the years to come. Some of us are just a few houses away.
All of you.
And others may rely on a good phone or internet connection. Luckily, between Rafi and Barry and Russell and Joel, we'll make sure we have enough gadgets and technology to keep that connection strong. And we hope and pray that the good times and the happy times that physically bring us together will far outweigh the sad times.
Barry.
No pressure.
And Barry, we need free SMH again, please.
We wish you all long life.